Okay.
Can talk about the restaurant again.
First of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Way better than last year, which is a pretty low bar, but I'm happy to hop over that bar at any second. So, Happy New Year. I just want to go ahead and make do some introductions, but before we do that, I just want to say thank you for all those that helped us put the little Charlie Brown Christmas tree up this year. We decided that we couldn't leave well enough alone because we didn't have really an authorized budget to really deck out that tree, much like we didn't have any money to do movies at McCoppin. But at the same time, we did manage to put a haphazard little decoration up, and I think it kind of conveyed the spirit of last year. So thanks for those that helped, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow as we take all those lights down and ornaments. So I'll see you guys out there. Anyone wants to join in, 4 p.m. tomorrow at McCoppin Square at the tree. Okay. Robert can't make it, but that's okay. I think we've got some hands to help out. Okay, and let's just do maybe a round of introductions. I'll call names out. Robert?
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm the secretary for Pops. Hello.
Corinne?
Hi, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm from Peros Pizzeria on Terraville.
Margaret Graff? You're muted, Margaret.
Oh, no, I'm not.
You didn't come through there. Go ahead, please.
Okay, well, I have a nonprofit group called Senior Power.
Okay, and David?
Hi, yeah, kind of a new owner with Deli King on Terraville and 22nd. We've had the place since August, but it's the same place. We just bought it from the old owner, so everything's the same there. But new to this group too for the past few months. So thank you for the invite and the opportunity to participate and learn from all you guys.
What is the name of your group again?
The Deli King. It's a deli shop. Sandwiches and shawarmas and pitas and wraps.
Yeah. Doug Marshke.
Doug Marshke, owner of Underdogs 2, opening soon in summer of 2021.
Voss.
Hi, Albert. Hey, did you say Voss?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Nice to see everybody again. I know many of you from the work I was doing with the Council District of Merchant Associations. And now I created an agency. It's called Next SF, and I create private-public partnerships to promote small business and neighborhood corridors. I've been working with a lot of community benefit districts and also work with Cruise, the autonomous driving car that you've seen on the west side possibly. So, by the way, tomorrow I am doing a podcast, and I'm highlighting some of the delegates that are up for election with the California Assembly delegates. So I hope you can attend. I'll put a link in the chat box. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Les.
Les Ong, I'm the treasurer of Pops.
And Barry?
Yes, I'm Barry Hermanson. I'm a former small business owner, not in this part of town. And so I live here, I've been living here since 1990. And so glad to be involved in the community here.
Okay, and Robin.
Hi, as I said earlier, I'm with Save Muni. I'm secretary for that. So hello, Robert. I'm your counterpoint in our organization.
Hello.
and happy to be here. Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Okay, and Angie.
I'm Angie Pettit-Taylor of Sunset Mercantile, and I organize the Outer Sunset Farmers Market and Mercantile.
And I see here. Peter, did you?
Hello there. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm from Far Out Gallery over on 40th and Terraville.
All right. And we got Michael Duran.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. This is Michael Duran. I'm starting my 3rd year as the editor and publisher of the Sunset Beacon newspaper.
Beautiful.
We have the press here.
And the Richmond Review.
Well, I trimmed it down for this local crowd.
Okay, and then I got Josephine there.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. I am heading the betterhousingpolicies.org, trying to balance the relationship between small mom and pop landlords and their tenants, making sure that they can provide high quality housing for tenants for long-term relationship. And I'm Chinese translator for POP.
Awesome. There's Sarah Greenwald. Sarah Greenwald?
Yeah, I'm with 350 San Francisco and just checking around to see what's up.
Okay, well, thanks for coming. Jessica. Jessica Ho?
Sorry, I'm muting. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Ho. I work for Northeast Medical Services. I'm also on the board of POPS. Good to see everyone.
Good. Paula.
Hi, I'm Paula Katz. I'm on the executive board of POPS, and I started out with Save Our El Taraville stops, and then as we worked with POPS, I got involved with POPS.
Great, and Claudia.
Hello, everybody. Happy 2021. I'm from El Cafe on 24 in Taravao.
Okay, and I got Nancy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nancy Lim, Parkside residence, and also realtor with Coldwell Banker.
Okay, almost through here. Howard Chin, please.
Hi.
Howard?
Yep. Hi, I'm Howard. I run a not-for-profit Asian girls basketball program. Right now we have no basketball.
Okay, and then let's see. I got Paul Cummings.
I'm with Save Muni and with Bay Area Transportation Working Group. The Save Muni chair, Bob Feinbaum, suggested we attend the meeting.
Great. And then Eileen, you're there?
Okay, Eileen Boken. I'm the president of SPEAK, Sunset Parkside Education and Action Committee. I'm also on the board of Save Muni.
Great. And then lastly, Wesley Footracer.
Hi there, my name is Wesley, but you can just call me Wes, and I'm the executive director here at POPS.
Great. Well, thanks again for all of you who are coming, and some of you for the first time. I hope you find this a fun and interesting meeting. I want to go down the agenda here, and the first one up would be Jessica Ho. She works over at Northeast Medical Services, and she is on our board, and also, I mean, excuse me, on our board, but she is on our board, but she's also our communications secretary, and we'd like her to communicate about the COVID-19 vaccines that are coming online.
Can you give me access as co-host so I can share my screen?
We can do that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, you got some stuff to show. All right. Can you got control?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Great. All right. Hello. Let me see if I can. Good evening, everyone. I'll try to make this quick and as painless as possible. So as you know, we have COVID-19 vaccines. So COVID-19 has been in our community for almost a year now, which is kind of insane. It has depended so many of our lives in so many ways. But the good news is that there have been a rapid race for COVID vaccine development, which is unlike any other scientific development that we've seen in previous years. So just wanted to show you a list of the vaccines that are in development, and you may recognize some of these names: Pfizer, Moderna, they're the name of the companies that have created the vaccine, the type, the storage, dosing notes. There's also a few others that you may not have heard as much about: AstraZeneca, J&J, Novavax. There are others that are currently going through different phases of the trials, and if they are successful, then they will also come online to help vaccinate the world. So it's a lot, very ambitious kind of program that we're thinking about, because there's about 340 million people that live in the United States, give or take, depending on what the census comes out with in the next year or so. And as you can see, Pfizer and Moderna, they have actually been approved as of last month, and they're very effective. So this is very good news. That 95% for Pfizer, 94.1% for Moderna. Originally, the FDA's threshold was much lower, and so this has really exceeded all people's imaginations when we first tried to embark on this fast track towards vaccine development. This just kind of gives you some statistics in how many people participated in the vaccine trials, and what some of the outcomes. Next slide. And so dose allocation, just want to give you kind of a framework of how vaccines are actually distributed. So you may have heard of Operation Warp Speed, which is the federal government's operation to try to get everyone vaccinated. They unfortunately overpromised and underdelivered. They had initially indicated that we would be able to vaccinate 20 million people by the end of 2020. Unfortunately, we're not there yet, or even close. But how it works is that the federal government purchases vaccines. Then the government actually distributes the vaccine directly to entities like the VA, Indian Health Services, which is like tribal health services, Department of Defense, others. Also, like they have taken on the responsibility to vaccinate skilled nursing facilities, long-term care facilities, staff, and residents. So that's something that is kind of a new initiative relative to this vaccine plan. So that's something that's happening as we speak. And then what really is kind of the flow is that they will distribute a certain or allocate a certain amount of vaccines to each state, depending on population and need. And then from there, the state then distributes to the counties, which is for us, San Francisco Department of Public Health. And then they also will distribute to like Kaiser or UCSF, like entities that span more than one county. So the like San Francisco Department of Public Health, you'll often hear like they don't know how much UCSF is giving or how much Kaiser is giving, because they're getting, those entities are getting the vaccines directly from the state, whereas entities like us, NEMS, gets our vaccines directly from the local health department, which is San Francisco Department of Public Health. Sorry, I want to pause for a second here. I know that might be a lot of information. Does anyone have any questions so far? All right, hearing none, I'm just going to kind of blow through this real quick. CDPH allocation guidelines. So basically, CDPH started really from the National Academy of Sciences, like months ago. They're like, well, we have all this vaccine. How do we prioritize who gets it first? So they came out with a national framework. Then the CDC and a committee there then also like provides recommendations. But again, they're recommendations, and they leave a lot of leeway for the states and local health departments to determine how they're going to prioritize people getting vaccines. And so for the CDPH allocation, you can see that they broke phase 1A, which is, if you can imagine, like the first phase. Initially, there were like 4 phases, but they're still on phase 1A, right? So phase 1A, they broke that phase down into 3 separate tiers. And so the first tier is what you would imagine like hospitals, acute care facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and people that are living long-term care, congregate settings, paramedics, EMTs, and also dialysis centers. So that's tier 1. And then tier 2 are kind of the next level of healthcare workers. We would think like public health field staff. And then of course, this is where us like federally qualified health centers come in, outpatient centers. And then the third tier then will be like specialty clinics or like dentists and pharmacists that aren't associated with Kaiser or NEMS or something like that, that have just private practices. So initially SFDPH was, and then, this is what I know. Again, SFDPH has yet to announce their, it's all kind of like convoluted process, as you can imagine, this logistical nightmare of distributing vaccines, but they try as very much as possible to stick to the tier system, right? To get everyone tier 1 vaccinated first, then tier 2, tier 3. However, as you have also probably heard in the news, we're going really slowly. And part of the reason is that SFDPH, if they were to vaccinate everyone on their own, it would take 4 years for them to vaccinate everyone in San Francisco. And we have less than 1 million people. So they need help. They need help from Kaiser's, and they need help from us that have capacity to vaccinate. So that's something that we're in the works of doing right now. And then after that, just so you know, what's going on right now is that California's advisory vaccine committee, COVID-19 vaccine committee, is discussing the next priorities that are coming up. So for the next rollout, it would be phase 1B. And so that includes people who are older than 75 years old, workers in education.
1B, tier 2.
Yep, and then phase 1B tier 2 is anyone older than 65. So basically 65 to 75 bracket, transportation, residential, commercial, social facilities. Then phase 1C would come after that. And phase 1, and these are all like relatively set in stone. But again, there's so much flexibility depending on the need and how quickly we can vaccinate people. So I know that this is still being discussed in the powers that be. I'm not in the conversations with the governor on how this is going to be rolled out. I don't know necessarily the logistics quite yet, but I will let you know in the future slides what we know right now in terms of how vaccines will get to the general public. So what does this mean in terms of numbers? I'm going to have to, hold on. According to the US Department of Health and Human Services, so Moderna and Pfizer have committed 400 million doses. Like I mentioned earlier, there's 340 million people approximately that live in the United States, which seems like, how can we have 400? Well, because both of them need 2 doses. So technically we actually need more from them. But there's like a schedule on how many they're required to give us as in the United States by a certain date. And if you want more information, you can click the link. It goes directly to the US Department's HHS website. Press release, but it's in tiers and phases. And then according to this Bloomberg article that was published today, at least 6.1 million people have received a dose of COVID-19 as of yesterday. I know that that's a lot, and I know that it's not a lot compared to what was promised. So it is kind of an issue of overpromise, underdeliver from the government, that even though people are doing their best to get people vaccinated, it is not nearly as fast as we had initially anticipated. I also want to just caveat that I'm citing the Bloomberg article because, it's the most current one that I could find, but these numbers change all the time. And these numbers, some of it really, unless you're in the echelons of science, it's really hard to know the exact numbers of what is actually going on. Even Grant Colfax in his presser was saying he doesn't know exactly how many have been administered in San Francisco, because all of the data that we're submitting goes into a database that's supposed to be secure to the CDC. So I just wanted to give you, that's the best estimate I can give you today. According to Governor Newsom, as of, let's say, Monday, when he had his presser, 1.2 million doses have been allocated, and then 444,000 doses have been administered. But then, like I said, according to that article, it's slightly higher. The sad thing, and the thing that people are getting really upset about, is looking at these utilization percentage numbers. 22.9% of the ones that have been administered have been allocated, or that have been actually, the 22.9% of vaccines that are being given to a state have been actually put into the arms of people, right? And again, this percentage, these may or may not, depending on the numbers, but I think we could say safely that less than half of the vaccines that have been allocated to most states, because 29% is the US average, are actually getting into the arms of people who need them. So I think there needs to be better logistical effort, and I believe that there are a lot of efforts underway to kind of boost that number up so we can get those vaccines administered as soon as possible. And then, of course, just remembering that the Pfizer Moderna vaccines have 2 shots. Pfizer needs to be given in around 3 weeks after the first shot, and the Moderna, you have to wait about 28 days or 4 weeks. So in order to reach full effectiveness. So what that means is even if you got the shot, like 1 shot, doesn't mean that you're automatically immune. It starts to build up some immunity, but you'll need to wait for their 2nd shot and then wait a few weeks after that before your body will have the full immunity, or at least 95%, 94% of effectiveness. So that's just something to consider, that, you know, mask wearing, social distancing, hand washing is not going away anytime soon. Just kind of keeping that in mind. And then in San Francisco, according to SFDPH Director and Health Officer Dr. Kolpak's report to the Health Commission this Tuesday, we've received 12,675 initial vaccine doses. And, you know, Zuckerberg's SF General Hospital and Laguna Honda Hospital have been, is being vaccinated as we speak. They may be already all vaccinated in terms of the staff, frontline staff. They've vaccinated 6,000 people to date. Again, that could be outdated as of this time, but it's around there, at least 6,000. And UCSF has reported separately that they're able to administer 1,100 doses a day, which is actually quite a lot for what I think, because working for NEMS, we've actually been able to receive some vaccine in order to help vaccinate frontline staff that are not able to vaccinate themselves. So people that are in those categories of phase 1A, not all of them have the capacity to put, you know, or the medical expertise to vaccinate. So we're helping like the ombudsman or other organizations to vaccinate them as well, to try to speed up this process. And we're not unfortunately able to vaccinate our patients quite yet, but believe me, we are busy planning for that day. So it is an ongoing process there. Finally, I just wanted to kind of talk about when you might be getting your vaccine, which is super exciting. I will say that it is, all I can say is everything that I know is from San Francisco Department of Public Health. So I don't know if you can see my screen, but this is the website. Can you see my screen? Yeah, the COVID-19 vaccine in San Francisco. So this is the website, and the link is in the presentation that you can visit. So this is really all we know, but the vaccine is expected to be available to everyone by the end of 2021. You will likely get it at doctors' offices, clinics, and pharmacies. And there's some additional information about who, where, when. That's the I guess summary of when the general public will be able to get it is really, it depends. Unfortunately, I wish I had more of a substantial timeline, but we're doing our best to get through phase 1A, so we'll get to phase 1B, etc. And that's where we're at as of January 7th, 2021. Any questions?
Right. I just had a quick one. So I think in the beginning of their slide, it said something about, I think ages under, depending which one, Pfizer or Moderna, was basically kids under 16 or 18 don't get them.
That's correct. So as of today, what was approved by the FDA is that Pfizer will be able to vaccinate people with the Pfizer vaccine ages 16 and above, and Moderna 18 and above. So for children, that's something that the FDA will need to revisit and figure out the effectiveness of the vaccine for children, essentially.
Yeah, so the number that's given out to you, we're looking at 340 million people in the United States. That number is skewed because we have a lot of children under that age too, right?
Oh yeah, but they need to be vaccinated eventually.
Okay, yeah, I just don't know when. I mean, I'm thinking schools too. How do they get back to school if you don't vaccinate them? The teacher will be vaccinated. It's just,
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a logistical minefield. And like as I am talking about the Moderna Pfizer vaccine, and to your point, I don't believe that they're going to be the only vaccines available by the end of this year.
Well, that's
And
true. Yeah, all the other ones are coming, on their coattails. Right now it's just beginning, which is nice for all the first responders and stuff. But hopefully, as the year goes on, they'll figure out everything else, especially for the kids too. Because I'm thinking even kids with certain circumstances, if they have underlying conditions, they're going to be susceptible to getting this something bad happening to them. For most of the healthy kids, I'm really not as concerned. I was more concerned about my daughter getting it and giving it to grandma. But
oh yeah, no, for sure, that's definitely a concern for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know I live, breathe, and eat COVID-19. So, I mean, there's a lot of other questions around testing and, ICU, hospital capacity, et cetera. But feel free to give me a call or talk, email me if you have any other questions about anything. And then I think there's a question in the chat about the cost. So the cost is free to the patient, at least for now.
All right. Cool. Okay, that was super useful information. I think lots of people have been waiting on finding out about that. Okay, well, let's move down the line. Thank you, Jessica, for that in-depth informational. And I'm going to move on to Daisy Kwan from Supervisor Gordon Marr's office. Hi, Daisy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, all.
And I was going to have you drive or actually co-host here, right?
Okay.
You good there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah, so well, first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. It's so nice to see some familiar faces. It's just been a while. I know I've talked to some of you on the phone and haven't even seen your faces, so it feels really nice. I do want to provide just a brief update on staffing. I'm not sure if it was provided before the new year, but we welcomed a new legislative aide last year, Lee Levitt. And so she is actually the main point person for small business policy. And then I know many of you have met Alan Wong. He is now our administrative aide. And he's doing a lot of the direct outreach to small businesses and organizations like people of Parkside Sunset. So that's just sort of an update in case you've missed that. And so we are hoping that we'll have the small business aides kind of more regularly at these meetings. However,
Someone's got some TV or radio kind of going off in the background.
I think it's okay. But I'm here to talk about.
Maybe mute everyone.
Chinese language TV going on in the background. Anybody? Okay.
I think we're good. But I'm here because I staff on housing and land use issues. And part of that work is our Sunset Forward. That's our community planning process. I know we're pretty limited on time today. So the purpose of my presentation today is just to provide the information on how POPs and you as individuals can participate in the process. I'm happy to answer questions about the process. And so hopefully that can get you excited about the things that are happening, for this year in terms of our community plan. I don't know if there are any questions beforehand. Otherwise, I have a very brief presentation and I'll set up the slideshow.
So Sunset Forward is about basically housing?
I will get to it. Yeah, it's about everything, not just housing. And we're really thinking about communities. And Michael is putting something, I don't even, oh, and the Sunset Beacon, yeah. Okay, so let me see if I can figure this out. Okay, are folks able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the name of our community planning process. It's called Sunset Forward. The first part of our plan is to do a community needs assessment, which we want to figure out the needs to then be able to respond with a plan and solutions through legislation and policy changes. So we have a mission statement for Sunset Forward. Sunset Forward aims to stabilize low and moderate income families and seniors in the Sunset, enhancing community connection and quality of life for all by addressing unmet needs in housing, transportation, and neighborhood businesses and services. And so just to reiterate, and to Alfred's question about the topics we're hoping to cover in this community plan is housing, transportation, neighborhood businesses, and neighborhood services. I think, as POPs, you all understand that we are this big network, this big community, and we can't talk about one topic such as housing or just transportation without talking about the different other aspects of community life, like neighborhood businesses and how they relate to everything else. That's why it's so important to have these conversations comprehensively. So this is a project in partnership with our office, Supervisor Gordon Marr's office, as well as the planning department and the San Francisco County Transportation Authority. The Transportation Authority sets transportation policy for the city of San Francisco. We're also working with a coalition of youth and family serving community-based organizations, and they include May School, Sunset Youth Services, Gum Moon Women's Residence and Asian Women's Resource Center, Sunset Beacon, and Housing Rights Committee of San Francisco. So just a brief timeline of where we are in the process. Certainly COVID has really changed the way that we think about how we can do community outreach, how we make it accessible, how we make it equitable. And so we were able to change a lot of what we were hoping to do pretty quickly, using Zoom and doing outreach. And so we began in July, and we were doing what we called Outreach Round 1 about community needs. And this included, we had some focus groups, virtual small group discussions. We had a needs assessment survey that I think we had about 750 responses. We did a listening tour where the supervisor met with different organizations, neighborhoods, and community groups. And now we're really in the process of starting to analyze community input. I know it sounds like, okay, we just missed the boat on that, but at the end of the presentation, I will speak about how there are still opportunities to participate in this process because we really, truly are in the very beginning of it. So now that we're in January, the planners that have been working with us closely with the CBOs on gathering community needs input are working to analyze the data, the surveys, the focus groups, the town halls that they attended but weren't necessarily about Sunset Forward. And they're gonna draft a community needs assessment. And part of the work for this early part of the year is also to match these needs with potential policy solutions, legislative solutions, budget solutions, to really meet the needs that we've identified in housing, transportation, and small business. And so the big part, and I really hope you guys focus and remember, what is coming up, and we're really excited to make sure POPs is involved in this, is outreach in the spring, where there will be a presentation about the community needs that were identified, as well as the potential solutions. And this is where we're going to have some really interesting conversations about what policies do Sunset folks think will meet the needs for us today and into the future. And then finally, the kind of grand finale and the big goal of this process is that we will have a neighborhood strategy or community plan, again, focus on housing, small business, commercial corridors, and neighborhood services. One thing that I did not mention is that Sunset Forward is a process for anybody who lives, works, studies, worships, or plays in the Sunset. That is how we've defined our community, and it really goes hand in hand with this idea that a community is not just people who happen to live here for 30 years, but that a whole community and a healthy and safe and happy community requires different sorts of people. And so that's the end of my presentation. And so I will send also like the information for this, but so I wanted to mention that there are still opportunities to engage between now and early spring. So we do have a website, and I will take you folks through the website really quickly before I close out the presentation. So if you go to sunsetforward.org, and I think Albert can follow up with a link as well. This is the official website of the Sunset Community Plan, and this is where you're able to find all the information of what has transpired, what's coming up next, and all the information, the early preliminary analysis, resources, and ways for you to engage. And so if you're interested in providing your community input ahead of our outreach round 2, there are several ways to do that through our website. So this is our main page. You can kind of see different tabs about get involved, resources, contact us. We have an interactive map. And so it's pretty open, but the prompt question is, what do you love about the sunset? So you're able to kind of pick a spot on the map that's relevant to your comment and leave comments through this map. There's also a discussion channel. So you can join the discussion, and the prompt question is, what do you want the sunset to look and feel like 30 years from now? And people have kind of been able to leave comments in this way. And then there's also the contact us. So this is how you can reach out to the planning staff directly. And there's also the contact information for the planner of the Sunset Forward project, his email and his phone number. And any clarification questions you might have about the process or what's upcoming, you'll be able to either ask him, ask our office, or follow the updates on this website. There are some resources. We just provided some demographic information that kind of spells out the lay of the land of the sunset currently. And then here is where you will find the preliminary information from our focus groups, from our surveys. You can actually find the Zoom recordings of our focus groups and town halls. And so this is the page which will continually be populated to find all the updated information, both, again, what has transpired and how to provide your input. And there is a Chinese language page that provides information in Chinese. And you're also able to kind of use the Google Translate function to translate other pages. I know people have a lot of criticisms around it, and we're happy to provide language support, but that is one option for folks. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and close out, and happy to answer questions about the process. Thank you.
I open the floor to questions to Daisy.
I'm sorry, you said you were working through Gordon Moore's office?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't make that clear. So I'm the legislative aide for housing and land use for Supervisor Gordon Moore.
Okay, thank you.
So this doesn't include the inner sunset.
Sorry?
This does not, it's basically District 4.
Yeah.
And not the inner sunset as well.
Yeah, so I mean, the way that we've defined it are the boundaries of the district, but understandably people who interact inside these kind of arbitrary boundary lines have needs, that require them to go outside of the boundaries. So, we've entertained conversations about Stonestown. We have met with, church congregations. They're not located in District 4, but their congregants live in District 4. So it's flexible, but yeah, it's the district boundary lines.
Well, the reason I mentioned it is on your website, you have the page that says, where is the sunset? And for all those folks who do live, I used to live in the inner sunset, and they would be scratching their heads if you left that out. And so I don't know if there's any way to accommodate that. So just to say, yeah, this is primarily just targeted at District 4.
Yeah, and that's certainly the intent of that map, is to say the process that we're talking about is within these particular bounds.
So can I make a comment? Daisy, I got involved with Save Muni because I have a disability, and the MTA took out the forward seats in the rail cars. This is two lines in your district, the N line and the L line. My concern is the impact on losing forward-facing seats for elderly, disabled, even language barriers between the riders. They took them out. Some of us got injured. So COVID put a stop to everything with the transportation, but when it comes back, they're only going to put a couple forward seats back on these rail lines. My concern is there's a huge number of people going out to the avenues who are elderly, who may need these forward-facing seats, and my concern, I just want to express my concern right now that we don't think there's enough forward-facing seats for the needs of the populations going out to in your district.
No, thank you so much for sharing that. I did not mention kind of as part of this large Sunset Forward plan that we do have the whole transit mobility study. And so that's also moving forward. I'm happy to connect you both with the aide who focuses on transportation, Edward, right? As well as all the resources to participate fully in the transportation component of Sunset Forward.
So how could I get in touch with you or this organization then?
Yeah, I can text or type my email address in the chat box.
Okay, and Daisy, who is the contact at the Transportation Authority?
So her name is Camille Gariba, and I can follow up with Albert on her actual email address and phone number.
And how is her last name spelled?
G-U-I-R-I-B-A. I might be able to search it quickly.
It's Turiba, is it how it's pronounced?
Gariba, I believe.
Is it G as in George or T as in Tom?
Here it is. Let me type it out for you.
George.
Are folks, is
G
everyone
George.
able to see the chat box?
No, I'm not on the chat box. I'm on the phone.
Okay. Yeah, so it's G as in George, U-I-R-I-B as in boy, A at sfcta.org. I'll just put that as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course.
Good question here.
Sure.
I went by me a little fast and I didn't catch it. What is the date? What's the date on the demographics?
The date?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's all using census data. And so we know, we kind of just finished the census and there may be some updates. But we were looking at, I'm trying to recall, I think it was 2008 to 2018. So changes between 2008 and 2018.
But it is utilizing the last census data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's kind of a 5-year, or there's like a yearly rolling update, the American Community Survey.
Okay.
Hey, any other questions? Daisy, I want to say thank you. We're running a little bit behind, so I want to kind of try to catch back up.
Yeah. No, thanks so much. I will put in some more links in the chat box just so folks have it to participate. I'm really excited about it.
Hey. All right, that's good. I see Edward Wright and Camille Gariba. So, okay, so if you guys need that, it's out there right now. Jot that down. All right, and thank you, Daisy. I want to go ahead and introduce Robert Feinbaum. I believe he's here.
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, wonderful.
Anyway, we'd like to hear a bit about Safe Muni. Thanks for coming to our meeting today.
Well, thank you, Albert, and hello to all the members of POPs. And I've heard at least two people, voices that I recognize from Save Muni. So hello, Robin. Hello, Eileen.
And Paul is here too.
Great. I'm Bob Feinbaum. I'm president of Save Muni. We've been an organization fighting for better transit service for over 10 years. And we focus a lot on citywide issues. and issues with the MTA and the CTA, but we also work closely with neighborhoods on issues that are very important to those neighborhoods. And one of our first issues that we got involved in was with the Nob Hill neighbors who were very concerned about the building of the Central Subway. And our group has a lot of technical expertise, and we got involved by analyzing the reports and looking at all the statistics and the environmental impact reports. And we concluded that the Central Subway was not a very good project. And so we worked with the Nob Hill neighbors for over 5 years to try to either modify or, better still, stop that project. Unfortunately, we are not successful. However, unfortunately, also, all the things that we said about that project have come true. When it was first proposed, it was a $683 million project. Currently, it's about a $1.8 billion project, and it's going to $2 billion. When it was first proposed, they said they were going to start service on January 1st, 2018. Now it's at the end of this year, maybe, and probably in 2022. And all this for a scant 5,000 additional riders that they said in their environmental impact report that they would be bringing to the Washington Street Station in Chinatown. We fought that one hard, and that's Save Muni style. We try to get involved, and we try to put our best arguments forward. We've also worked a little bit with the El Taravel issue, as Eileen and Paula Katz will probably attest. And we submitted a number of arguments about some of the planning, shall we say, irregularities that occurred. And we also helped a little bit, I think, in trying to get that stop restored at the Safeway, which eventually, I guess, Supervisor Marr and others were very instrumental in doing. So Save Muni is a citywide organization. We deal with citywide issues, but we also work closely with neighborhood groups to try to improve Muni service in their neighborhoods, or else try to stop bad projects that Muni is trying to foist on the citizens. Now, we know that this is a era of the pandemic, and transit service is not going to be the same as it was in February of 2019. However, we are determined, and we believe that a comprehensive Muni service is still the best Muni service. There's a lot of talk these days about equity. And in our opinion, equity means a comprehensive Muni service that serves all neighborhoods, that serves everybody in the city, that can serve to move people from the Bayview to Chinatown, from the Mission District downtown, from the West Side to downtown, or wherever anybody wants to go. They should be able to depend upon Muni. We part company with the MTA, which is saying that, oh, we can't afford to do comprehensive service. We believe that that they can and that they should. So one of the things we'll be working on in 2021 as Save Muni as an organization is to try to push the MTA to restore comprehensive service so that everybody in town can use Muni, because really we're all paying for Muni, so we should all be able to use Muni. One subject that I think Eileen has brought up with you before, but Save Muni has also weighed in on this one. The operators, the transit operators, have a very stressful job. And one of the programs that they had previously was called the Back First program. It was a program that allowed the operators to have some intervention by health personnel to help relieve the stress that their job was causing them. This is a very small budget item, approximately $250,000, but for some reason the MTA canceled that program. And Save Muni has written a letter supporting the Back First program that the Transit Workers Union wants so much. And we think it's a good program, and it's an example of misplaced priorities to cancel a program like that. I'll just wrap up by saying that we're going to be very active this year. We're going to take a position of, as I say, emphasizing the need for a comprehensive muni service and saying that really this cutback of service where some parts of town are not well served is not a good idea and shouldn't be brought forward. We'll also be saying, as we have for a number of years, that it is necessary to look at the budget of the MTA and to say that they really need to focus a little bit more on trying to keep within their budget rather than continually coming before the voters, the city, and the taxpayers for asking for more and more funds. And one other personal thing I'd like to add, and this might be of interest to some of the merchants in the group. I've been personally dealing with the MTA and the Muni for now 12 years since our organization has been in existence. And I've never met an MTA or a Muni planner who has a retail background. There are Muni planners aplenty who are bicycle riders and who are very passionate about bicycles, and that's good. But there's nobody on the staff, at least that I know of, who has had retail experience. And so it's probably explainable why the MTA just doesn't really hear what merchants say to them. And I think one thing, suggestion that I've made to other merchants groups is that perhaps you write a letter to the MTA and say, hey, how about having somebody who's got a retail background in one of your planning functions so that they'll understand the problems of the merchants a little bit better.
Robert?
I'm sure there are a lot of questions, so I'll just pause there and see what people would like to ask.
I just wanted to interject there about the small business experience aspect. Ironically, tonight, Robert, your slot, you are replacing Manny Yucatil. I don't know if you guys know his name, but anyway, Manny Yucatil, as of yesterday, just got sworn in as an SFMTA board member. He is the owner of Manny's Cafe on Valencia Street and the president of the Valencia Street Merchants Association. And so he is our first small business representative, finally, in a very high level of authority. And so, yeah, we've been fighting for that one for a while from the Council of District Merchants to get somebody from a small business or from one of our small business members to be seated at that council or at that board. And it has just finally happened. So I tried to book him before he got too busy, but I unfortunately I couldn't. So sounds like we'll try to get him on someday, but we'll see how busy he gets.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be a pinch hitter. And I've read about Manny's appointment. I hope it'll be helpful. But I was referring to the staff level rather than the board level. If you've talked to the MTA staff, I think you'll find many of them have a background as coming out of planning school or having been an advocate for bicycles or whatever. But you won't find anybody on the planning staff, as far as I know, who's got a retail background. So maybe the next breakthrough that you could work for is to have a planner or two hired at the MTA who has a retail background who might be able to interject that into the planning process.
Yes.
So a concern as well that because with the construction that is beginning on 19th Avenue, and that's expected to be what, a 2 or 3 year project altogether, just a massive disruption. They're also beginning to cut stops on 19th Avenue. And then that's even more problematic than cutting the stops on Taravel, which many of us fought against because those blocks are much longer. And secondly, I wonder if you might be able to give us a bit of an update in terms of the construction. I thought I read somewhere that the second phase of it was being delayed, perhaps because of budgetary concerns.
You're talking about the 19th Avenue?
No. Well, the El Terabel improvement project, where they've been working out beyond Sunset Boulevard, are they going to start very soon on east of Sunset Boulevard?
I don't know, and I don't think they know yet either, because they're madly shifting funds around to try to keep the operation going. So right. How much they're taking out of the so-called capital and shifting over, it's a very fluid situation. So I guess you just have to keep posted and keep on the SFMTA website to see what all they're going to be doing.
Yeah, that's the part of the project that's really going to impact merchants up here.
Okay, Barry, at the last POS meeting, I'd said they were supposed to originally put this out to bid in 2019. The MTA rejected all the bids. They were supposed to rebid it in March of 2020. And at least as far as I'm aware, they have not gone out to bid again on phase 2.
Okay.
And this is what I'm trying, an opportunity. Barry has been bringing forth the idea for some time about, instead of having streetcars on Taravel, having buses. Well, as long as the streetcar was going downtown directly, then that made some sense. But as I said at a previous meeting, the MTA is now proposing that the L and the K will be called what's called interlining. Neither of those will go downtown. So there will be a loop from the zoo to City College and back again. So if you want to go downtown, you would have to transfer at West Portal. So as long as the El Taravel is not going to go in the tunnel anymore, there is a possibility to get buses, get rid of those proposed boarding islands, and bring back the parking. So I think that also I mentioned before, the MTA is trying to say that this interlining is temporary, and it's because of COVID. And I've said this before, that's not true. The MTA applies to the state of California for grants. One of them is called a Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program, which is TIRCP. I have a copy of a grant that they submitted in 2019, well before COVID, that specifically talks about interlining the K and the L. Also, it does not make any mention that this is temporary. So this whole thing that this is temporary, it's because of COVID, is simply not borne out by the facts. So this is another example where the MTA has not been straightforward with this.
Well, this is Bob again. That's common not only with respect to the Taravel situation, but around town. It seems as though the MTA often has a project that they want to put forward, and they come out and they hold a lot of community meetings, but they don't listen, really. And they come back with the same project pretty much after so-called community input. And one of the things we've been so frustrated about at Save Muni is just that fact, and we're trying to force them to be able to listen to neighborhoods through a variety of mechanisms. One of them is through a district council, which some supervisors have proposed. And I think in District 3, Supervisor Peskin has one, in which he has the MTA person, a public works person, and some of the other departments who meet regularly with the citizens group so that they can discuss upcoming projects. That way, residents of the neighborhood can get their input in early before the MTA or the other organizations make final decisions. And I think that's a very good model. And if the representative from Supervisor Marr's office is still on, I would suggest that he try the same model for his district. It could be quite helpful. Bringing an MTA representative for the area, a public works representative, maybe a Parks and Rec person, have them meet directly with citizens to discuss upcoming projects that have not been totally formulated, and really get the citizen input at the beginning of the project so it's not just a top-down process.
Yes, we've had that similar fight before too. We've gotten some experience about how they operate.
Okay, Albert, one more thing about the Back First program. Save Muni has written a letter about to support it to the MTA board, and also I believe you said it to the Board of Supervisors. I have been, Roger Marenko, who's the president of the TWU 250A, has been to POPs before. I spoke with him earlier today and to ask his authorization to propose that Save Muni also, not Save Muni, but POPs also write a letter of support for this Back First program. The Muni operators, they are frontline, they're, essential workers, and that the MTA is, rather than doing something for the people who actually provide the service, seem more interested in trying to protect their own, hierarchy, the management side. So I'm, on behalf of the union, I'm asking if POPs will write a letter of support that the MTA put back funding for this Back First program in the amount of $250,000 per year. So I don't think, since I don't really need an answer tonight, but I'm putting that forward as a request. So that's kind of my spiel. And since we're running short on time, I would just say if you could run it by your executive committee or whomever, and just we'll go from there. So I don't expect an answer tonight.
Eileen, can you just give me kind of like an outline version of that letter so I can just pass it on to everybody for a review?
Sure. Bob, you had the one that we sent. The one that went to from Save Muni was in an earlier stage when they were actually asking for about $500,000, and that has been cut down to $250,000 for the operators only. So Bob, you still have a copy of that letter that you sent to the MTA?
I hope I do, and if I do, Eileen, I'll send it over to you. Yes.
And a copy to Albert as well.
Yeah, I can certainly do that. Let me search my files. But yes, we supported it when it was at $500,000. The original ask for this year was $1 million for the Back First, and that would have covered both the frontline operators and the MTA staff down there at 1 South Van Ness. But then they cut it back to about $500,000 to just serve the operators, and now they've cut it back again to $250,000 to give a pretty bare bones service to the operators. And it really is in a budget. The MTA budget currently is about $1.2 billion. $250,000 is less than some of the higher executives make for their pay for a year. So it's a modest program.
Yes, it has been cut entirely. That's the point. They basically, the union kept trying to cut it back, but then the MTA said no funds at all.
Yeah.
I understand. I think I just have to, Bob, I have to move forward with the meeting because.
Okay. Could I just mention, Albert, in closing that we meet, Save Muni meets on the third Monday of every month. Everybody's welcome to come. And I would refer you to our website, but it's currently under development. So if you don't mind, I'll just give you my email address, and anybody who would like to get on our mailing list or become involved could do that. My email is, unfortunately,
I'll give it to him, Bob.
Okay,
it's
Bob.
It's a Zoom meeting, by the way.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Eileen. And thank you, Albert. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about Save Muni.
And I would like to add that every single meeting that we have an invited speaker from organizations and agencies. So it's very interesting listening to these people speak to us. So I think it adds a lot of interest to our meetings. Just know this is happening at every meeting. So I welcome anybody who wants to join us on our Zooms now, third Monday of the month, 7 to 9.
Okay.
No, 5:30 to 7:30.
Oh, 5:30, yeah, sorry, I'm thinking about a different one. A different one, 5:30 to 7, I have a different one then.
All right, thanks again, Albert.
Thank you, Bob.
All right.
Okay. I just want to give, with the time we have left, I want to give a quick update on a meeting I had with a couple of members that are here today with SFMTA over at 40th to 41st Avenue on Taravel Street, which is that one commercial block on segment B of this project that's really of any significance because all the other one down at 46th Avenue is where the streetcar turns. The streetcar doesn't actually have tracks that go through 46th to 47th Ave. So anyway, on meeting them, we met Jerry Deep, who is our corridor or project manager, as well as Terry Howery, who is the NTK construction foreman over there. And we had talked about a couple of items, like getting some parking relocated, as well as keeping the streets clean, and probably some signage and some marketing on Taravel Street for that area during the course of the construction. Terry, the foreman, said that the construction is going to last about 6 weeks for that one block. And they're planning to uproot the pipes, change the, like take up the roadway, replace the tracks, and as well as the ties and the underlayment of rocks and gravel. So it's quite a bit of work. And so anyway, the highlight is that we did come to some agreements of cooperation, which is nice. They've agreed to remove one of their staging areas on 41st Avenue, move some of the shoring equipment they've left on the street. And upon removing that, that will bring back about 2 or 3 parking spaces. Also, we've made a request to Jerry Deep to see if they can retask some parking spaces to become 20-minute spaces on 41st and 40th Avenues, since Taravel Street will lose all its parking on both sides of the street during the construction. So if we can get some temporary 20-minute spots, we can keep traffic circulating and moving over in those areas. And besides, the point is no one's really hanging out at this point at any of the businesses. People are just going in, grabbing their food, and taking off again. So the 20-minute limit seems like a reasonable amount of time. We would also like to have them regularly and often sweep and keep the area clean so that it's good for, it's good for the merchants. And so, and also the last thing, which is to have Civic Edge, which was the marketing consulting company that helped create the Beachside Taravel marketing, to help with putting signage, since they've already done some of the marketing, some of the color and analysis of like poster image and so forth, to take that marketing material that we as city taxpayers have already paid for, and use that marketing to create like open for business signs, maybe directories to show which businesses are on 40th to 41st that are open for business, as well as directional signs, perhaps maybe at Sunset Boulevard, Great Highway, and 46th Avenue to kind of give pointers and directions to those merchant areas so that, you know, people will still keep coming down to that location, because Terraville does look intimidating and hazardous to drive, especially if you guys have been down there. I mean, it's really a bumpy ride. So people may not want to drive down Terraville itself, but maybe they can run down Santiago or Yoloa, and we can put signage to say, hey, come down these quiet streets and make your detour back to Terraville, so we can help those merchants out. And I find this important for the rest of us because, as Barry has said, segment B, which is from Sunset Boulevard all the way up to West Portal, whenever that happens, we need to have this section of Terraville as kind of like the canary in the coal mine. We need to test this stuff out. We need to make sure that solutions work to keep businesses open and able to survive. And then so we can take the same model and just move it up the street rather than having to reinvent the wheel every time. So anyway, these are the takeaways I have so far. And I also sent a letter to Jerry Deep recapping all this, and I plan to follow up with her next week to see if progress has been made. So that's it for that part of Terraville. And coming on the last item tonight, but first, any questions on that? Sorry. I take that as a no. Okay. The last item is, this was an idea that was spawned by Angie Taylor here, our princess of marketing and mercantile and farmers markets. And this was something that I really got excited about. Was we have a Terraville Strong campaign. We have been taking in money from sales of T-shirts, and we still continue to. It's a trickle, but there's some money there. I haven't checked it recently, but I think we're probably in the $1,000 range at this point. And we can always start up the campaign and maybe bring some of the shirts to the farmers market and sell more. But here's the proposal. And Angie, unmute yourself. Just tell me if I'm wrong. But the idea is to use that money to create cash coupons that we can give to community members. Let's say a $10 value coupon, which they can go to participating stores and spend it like cash. Those coupons will be reimbursed by POPs through the Terraville Strong funds that we've accumulated so far. And this will help, you know, drive people in the community to those businesses that participate. And the merchants that do accept those coupons can turn them to me, and we can reimburse you back for, you know, the money that you've for the coupons you've taken in. And so you know, I think this might be a good idea just to help, just to promote our street right now, and who knows, it might expand further, but for now at least do it on Terraville Street. One of the things that first I thought of was security. And actually Wesley did too. You know, he says, hey, I hope no one's going to start printing those things. And so I've actually found out that I can get a corporate embossing seal that I can buy and have POPs put on it, and we can like emboss each note. I can wet sign them, and that would be pretty counterfeit proof, I should think. The other thing too is, oh gosh, now my train of thought has been lost here. I'm skipping. Oh, and how to distribute these coupons. We can certainly have like little contests at the farmer's market, maybe, or if someone buys something at a store, at one of these participating stores, they can earn some of these cash coupons. You know, at the farmer's market, maybe they have a little Wheel of Fortune, this be one of the prizes, you know, at the information booth. So anyway, there's just ways that we can pass the coupons along. I'm sure there's no one that's going to turn down free money. So anyway, just let me know if you guys think that's a good idea. I'd like to go forward with it. And, you know, and Angie, I think you had some other things to add too that or some great ideas about other markets that you want to open?
Yeah, well, first I can say that I came up with that idea in the Inner Sunset because I organize the Inner Sunset Flea Market, and I'm part of Inner Sunset Merchants Association, and I am closely tied with the Inner Sunset Park Neighbors, which is, the neighborhood association and the Merchants Association, two separate associations who try to do things together as much as possible. And so we combine forces for the holiday flea market to distribute these red coupons for $10 to event goers. But we started off with the Inner Sunset Park Neighbor members to say, hey, come on down, a little thank you for being a member of the community, and here's your $10 coupon. You have a week to go and spend it at these participating merchants. And I think it went pretty well. Overall it went pretty well. We ended up giving out, I think, about $1,000 worth of coupons, and we've only had about 600 come back so far. So there will be this probably margin of people just not using them, but it was nice. It was a gift to the community when they could use that little extra perk, and then people went into these businesses and probably spent more than $10. So I think there's a lot of potential there. So I just hope you guys want to do that, because I think it would help the businesses. And just a quick insight into, besides that weekly Outer Sunset Farmers Market and Mercantile we're doing right now, we're about to launch the Sunset Wellness Mercantile, which will be on 37th. I want to utilize that 37th Avenue as much as possible for outdoor commerce, where we need outdoor commerce right now, and it's an easy street to work with. And I have my container full of things for the farmers market, so easy to continue to have events on 37th Avenue. But this is not an event. This is more of a practical, it's really a pop-up open air merchant corridor with no walls and ceilings is the idea behind this. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for those businesses that really need outdoor space, or organizations or clubs or whatever. But and so the idea behind it was, it sparked when I knew dance studios and fitness studios and dojos need space, and they need to be outdoors, or they're having trouble with their indoor space. And then businesses in particular, a lot of businesses are closing and yet still want to be connected to the community, or are just a home business and need to connect. So this is more of just a practical outdoor pop-up business corridor on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We have a permit until June, and I hope to go further. If anybody's interested, let me know. We're still hammering out some details, but we're going to launch, we hope to launch February 1st. And then the other thing that we're doing is on Saturdays, those will be events, but again, it's about a lot about commerce, a lot about having a place for the community to go to, because that's the feedback I get most from the community about the farmers market is, yeah, it's great to get their sustenance and to have a place to shop, but it's actually for mental health been great for people just to have a place to go, take a walk, look at things, see neighbors from afar. And so I think we just need more of that. And 37th Avenue is perfect for it. So I'm just going to start opening up 37th to this almost every day if I can. And any businesses that want to get involved, need some outdoor space, or organizations, Margaret, happy to give you guys space. So let me know, I mean, really, nonprofit organizations will find you space for free. And so just, that's it. Hopefully that'll the Saturday event will be a rotating series of 4 different themes of mercantiles, where one Saturday, so like first Saturday, second Saturday, third Saturday, fourth Saturday, will always be like, and this is just hypothetical because it's still hammering out, but first Saturday, art and wine, art and wine mercantile. And then another one would be a secondhand Saturdays where it's kind of like a flea market, but it's secondhand vintage, but it could also be a place for neighbors to have a garage sale, again, safely, because we really can hammer in the idea of safety at this event. And the other one would be like a family oriented, children oriented Saturday. And the last Saturday is one of, and I'm still hammering it all out, but science and innovation. And I'll talk about that later when I figure it out. But anyways, that's it. And that's hopefully in March. Let me know if you have any questions. You're welcome to always email or call me, and I'll put that in the chat.
Angie, can I make a comment? I think this is an excellent idea. Do you see this idea spreading to the rest of the city possibly? And if so, how could that happen? Because there's such a need for this outdoor space now for all those that can't operate indoors. And just your thoughts on that.
Absolutely, I agree. The thing is it's, well, we have to find space that you can peacefully close it and have outdoor commerce. And so 37th is just super easy because there's no driveways, there's no residents, there's nothing but a schoolyard fence on one side and Sunset Boulevard on the other. So it's just really easy there. But yes, Inner Sunset Park neighbors do it. We're talking now about relaunching the flea market between 9th and 10th. And then I think that there is a movement right now, and it's about who can organize it, and then it's getting the merchants and any neighbors that might be living on the street coordinated. We did do something on Beachside, and it was a lovely event. People loved it. A little bit, almost, well, most of the merchants I think liked it. Neighbors really didn't like it. I think the no parking wore on them. So you've got to be careful, it's just tricky. But I agree, and I'm happy to share my knowledge of how to do it with anybody who wants to try to do it in other neighborhoods.
And how do we reach you? Can you put an email or?
Well, I think that we should make a comment though, just of thanks, because Angie's being very modest. It's an extraordinary amount of work that you have put into this, and it is, and so it's not just a matter of Angie trying to just be able to do this all over the city. This really requires a lot of time to put together, and you have done a wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can you put your email, Angie, in the chat?
I will.
Your email in the chat? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Barry. That was very sweet.
Yeah.
I think that is appreciated all around, Angie.
Oh.
You helped really, no, I think you've been one of those people in the neighborhood that has helped in this time of need. You were the right pill for the poison. And
that's right.
Well, we just happen to be at the right place at the right time, kind of thing. If
shine,
meant to be, right? So
you're in our neighborhood.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. So without any further ado, are there any other comments people would like to add before I adjourn the meeting tonight?
Just thank you very much. It was really interesting. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Robin. I hope you enjoyed our meeting.
I did.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So I will look forward to seeing everybody out there. Hopefully see a couple people tomorrow at 4 p.m. to take down the Christmas lights and ornaments at the tree. And, there'll be a nice opportunity to see some people in the flesh. This Zoom thing's driving me crazy too, if it hasn't driven you guys crazy.
I thought you had an excellent meeting. Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you liked it, Paul.
No, I used to work with the Merchants Associations in Oakland 20-some years ago, and it's great to see an active Merchants Association that seems to have a vibrant program of work moving forward, particularly in the trying times that you exist in today.
That's when I think that it tries to pull the best resources out of all of us to help everybody get through this together. And we've lost a few merchants along the way, but I think most of us are able to hold down and stay intact. I had one merchant tell me that he thought of last year. He said, you know, I was able to pay my bills, keep my house over a roof over my head, and keep the store running. That's the best I could say for last year. It's true. It sucks. You can't say you broke any marketing records, but as long as you're able to survive until this is over, then it was a good year. So I congratulate all of you that have tried and have survived, and anyone that's hurting, we're trying to help you out too. All right. Well, without any further ado, I will say that I'll move to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.